I'd like to call tonight's Somersworth Planning Board meeting to order. Anna, please call a roll.
Ron LaHoulier.
Here.
Jason Berry.
Here.
George Gilmet.
Here.
Jeremy Rhodes.
Here.
Chris Horton. Mark Richardson.
Here.
David Witham.
I'm here.
William Barden.
This time I'd like to appoint Mr. Barden as a full voting member for the evening. First item is approval of the minutes of December 17, 2025. Is there a motion? Motion made by Mr. Berry. Second by Mr. Richardson. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed or abstained? Next item is committee reports, land use board reports. You have the summary in your packets. Are there any comments? Moving on, city council report. Mr. Witham.
Yeah, very quick this evening. The new city council was just sworn into office a few weeks ago. The mayor did nominate myself as the council rep to the planning board and Councilor McNair as the alternate rep to the planning board, and both of those were confirmed by council. I think, as everybody knows, Councilor McNair was a citizen rep on the planning board, but she cannot fulfill both roles now, so she's now the alternate.
Thank you. Stratford Regional Planning Commission update. Mr. Richardson.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we had a planned opportunity to meet with some of our elected officials a week or so ago up in Rochester at their Public Works Department. Turns out that this is not a good time of year to meet with representatives. They were all called up for committee meetings and other hearings that they were having, except for our Senator David Waters, and Senator from Portsmouth also attended. But we did talk about the state of transportation and housing, childcare, a couple other things throughout the meeting, and I think we're going to be planning on doing something similar to this in June, when we're told that representatives and senators are more available. So,
Thank you. 2030 committee update. Mr. Berry.
No report, Mr. Chair.
Housing committee update. Director Mears.
None this evening, Mr. Chairman, other than, I guess we could go over this now. The Housing Task Force, they're looking to reappoint a member from the Planning Board to the Housing Task Force. It was Bonnie McNair last term, so just if anybody's interested from the Planning Board, we do need a member on that.
Hey, thank you. Next item, old business. Is there any old business that may come before the board this evening? Director Mears.
None this evening, Mr. Chairman.
Next, we'll get into new business. I'd like to ask everybody to please turn off or mute your cell phones or electronic devices. Also, if you care to speak this evening, please state your name and your address or your affiliation, and please come up to the podium, speak into the microphone. If you have to stray from the podium, please use the portable mic. Thank you. Item 4A under new business, Press Cafe is seeking a waiver from section 12.6.d.9 of the site plan review regulations requirement for the Class B landscape buffer on a property located at 459 High Street in the residential commercial RC district, assessors map 40, lot 60, site number 02-2025. Director Mears.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The site received site plan conditional approval back in July of 2025 to construct a 25,000 square foot shopping center consisting of retail space, restaurant with accessory use of outdoor pickleball court, on-site parking, and site improvements. There was waivers granted for this project for New England architecture and site lighting. The applicant is now requesting to amend the approved plan due to the requirements of the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services and their alteration of terrain permit. The applicant has provided a detailed list of the plan revisions since last before the board. In particular, the applicant is seeking waivers to allow for the change in the stormwater treatment design. We did speak with the applicant last week regarding the landscape design standards in the buffer yard and explained to the applicant that there is going to be construction of a contractor storage yard behind there, which is behind the Dollar Tree lot, and that trees would be recommended as part of that to buffer between that use. And they are asking for a waiver from the stormwater regulations to locate accessory structures within the setback. This is complete and ready to review.
All right, thank you. Entertain a motion to accept the application.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Witham, seconded by Mr. Berry. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Application is accepted. This time, I'd like to invite Press Cafe to make their presentation.
Good evening, Board. Thank you, Michelle, for the introduction of the project. Keith Curran from Bowler, representing Press Cafe. In the attendance here is also Jay Emperor, if there's any questions concerning the lighting and landscaping. So as Michelle mentioned, previous approval, conditional approval, we are kind of forced to come back. After we get the approval from the city, we submitted the required AOT permit application to the NHDES. Basically, because we're in the Class A watershed, quarter mile, they required us to do different stormwater treatment. So, thank you. So this is the layout, very similar to what we had before. There's really no major changes to this. I'll get into on the drainage revisions, but if everyone remembers, Press Cafe over here to the front left, and then the rest was additional commercial. There's some minor tweaks, but basically the main changes are on the grading and drainage plan. I'll just flip to in a second. Actually, I will grab that mic. Is that working? Okay, because it'll be easier for me to see. And I'll zoom in. So the biggest change is back here. Again, we're within that Class A quarter mile watershed. Basically, Willard Pond is the Class A watershed. So what that's requiring is us to do a bioretention area with internal storage revenue. This is to meet Code 1507.3C1 of the state bylaw. So the idea is right here in the back here, you'll see this is Willard Pond, as everyone knows, is behind the site. This is that bioretention area with the internal storage. So this was not on the previously approved plan. And then we also have here additional stormwater treatment with sediment forebay and a forebay here in this swale basically leading to here. The other stormwater features, which are similar to we had before, was there is a, I'll go back over here. Apologize, a little slow. Where'd it go? Right here is the infiltration basin, and also let me zoom out. Here you go. It's easier to see on this plan, which is the grading plan. So going back, I'll go back on this one's easier to see. So we talked about the bioretention area. Then we have some chambers here down in this area, and then chambers here. But the biggest thing is the idea about this bioretention area in the back. So this, I know, hasn't been totally peer reviewed yet by the peer review consultant, but we provided a whole brand new stormwater report with the plans. It has been resubmitted to address all the AOT comments. They actually just came back last week with a couple of minor comments. So the whole idea about the main changes we did, they've basically have approved that. So by these changes, there's two additional waiver requests. One is associated with this, one is not. So again, those are in the staff report from Michelle. The first one is pertaining to the back, which is waiver requests. And again, you can pull them up if you want to hear our reasoning. But the first one is the landscaping design standards. So let me just pull up that waiver request. Oops. It'll be easier to see on screen. Let me do this one first.
They all did get these waiver requests in the
Okay.
package, just so you know.
Okay.
They have.
Yeah, I printed them out, but they're too small to read, to be honest with you. So that's why I'm pulling them back up on the screen. We probably should use bigger text, but I'll zoom in. All right. So this one is section 13.23A79, which you all again have requesting the waiver of proposed permanent stormwater control and structure to be located within half the required minimum setback as set forth in the zoning ordinance to facilitate the implementation of the proposed bioretention with internal storage. So again, we're within that buffer in the back, right? So again, there's nowhere else for us to put, to put this stormwater feature. So that's the reason we're requesting this waiver. The other one that's new, the second one, it's opening a little slow. Section 12 sorry if that says 69, I believe. We're not proposing to include opaque screening within the landscape buffer strip due to the existing wooded butter that is undeveloped, offering an existing natural buffer. We are additionally not proposing to plant a buffer due to the proposed stormwater swale that leads to our proposed retention. So same thing, this is kind of tied to the back. There's an existing buffer there. And also, we can't add additional buffer because all the drainage features we have in there, which includes not just the bioretention, but also that swale that I showed on the previous plan. And the third waiver is the one is actually not associated with this. And then if you want, Jay can speak to more of this if you'd like. But the idea was, and I saw on the staff, I think Michelle's not supporting this waiver, but we removed some vegetation on the right side of the building. I can show that after I run through the waiver request, but section 4B75, we're requesting a waiver for the shade trees to be provided around the perimeter of all the parking at the north of the site because this is existing dense vegetation. So we talk about. Additionally, this is where it's different. The adjacent butter is anticipating a proposed contractor unit development that was recently approved and shows that they will be maintaining the existing vegetation along the property line. So the town staff, Michelle and others, showed us that plan. There's a development going to the right side. There's going to be existing vegetation remaining. So we were not thinking and not concerned about us buffering from them. Also, it's the side of our development. So again, we're not concerned about, it's not storefront, and we're not concerned about that view. So I'll show you in the plan we're talking about where there is, right now we're not showing any vegetation. I'll go to the landscape plan, and I'll show you the area I'm referring to. So previously there was landscaping. Get to this plan. It's a large plan set. I'll actually zoom back in. The area we're referring to is over here. So the previous plan, we had landscaping along this whole edge here between the property line and the parking. Again, this is just the side of our building, and we weren't concerned about screening them, knowing what that development was probably going to be. Now that we know what it is, we don't feel the need to add additional landscaping here to buffer from them or to buffer them from us. As the rest of the landscaping, except for in the back, like I just talked about, meet the requirements. So it's really just that right side. So that was the waiver request. If I zoom out or I pan down, you'll see the rest of the site is well buffered, and plenty of landscaping throughout the parking area and the front of the storefront. So those are the three waiver requests, and the reason for us to obviously come back to the board after we already had the conditional approval.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Open the public hearing. Does anybody have any comments on this application? Director Mears, is there any correspondence concerning this item?
None this evening, Mr. Chairman?
Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and turn to the board for questions. Mr. Witham.
I'll try to pick these off sort of in the order that you went after them yourself. The bioretention basin, on the original plan set, that area where you're proposing to put that in the back, that is an area that was just to be grass or lawn or maybe some existing low-growth vegetation initially?
Correct. I believe we just had grass and lawn back there.
Got it. So personally, as one board member, I'm not terribly troubled by this. I think the protection of William Pond sort of trumps what we might be losing here. So I appreciate the efforts that you're going through to deal with the stormwater for the protection of that water body. So thank you for that. And if I understood it correctly, as a result of this, as well as some of the other drainage amenities along the back, it doesn't allow for any further buffer yard to that side of the property. Is that correct?
The side buffer is independent. This area here to the
Okay.
right is independent from our stormwater revisions.
Okay.
We went and I believe it was a team request internally from our client and so forth to remove those original vegetation that we had there just because of we're obviously providing the vegetation in more important areas and just the lack of it's not really, doing much.
I think I agree with the logic that, given the use, planned contractor storage yard, I don't see that looking at the side of your building is going to be terribly problematic for them. Looking from your property, because that is the drive-through corridor going around, that's more of the concern, kind of gazing in at what a contractor storage yard might look like. So I think about it from that perspective, but I guess that's more of your concern than our concern as far as what your guest would see as they use a drive-through.
Sure.
I'd wait for some other board members to comment. I guess I'm leaning towards this being okay, but what am I missing here?
After the staff let me know about exactly, they forward the plans of what's, has been approved there. I've been trying to pin down our client, not always that easy. She's super busy, so I haven't had a chance to obviously discuss this with her. She may very well be like, yeah, I'd prefer just to add that landscaping back. I don't know, though. I haven't been able to connect with her yet.
So, but as far as the stormwater pieces, makes sense to me, and I'm fine with what is going on.
Mr. Barry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I do share many of the sentiments of Councilor Witham. I get it. There's really nothing you can do about the location of the pond. There's nothing you can do about the basin. As far as the buffer yard in the back, there's really nothing going on back there. If it was residential back, I would be much more concerned, but it's, to my understanding, it's all trees right back to William Pond. So in this case, probably not going to be developable. So I say that's probably fine by me. As far as the side yard, personally, I'm okay with this waiver, specifically because of the neighbor, right? So it's a commercial business. There's going to be, if I'm not mistaken, that's the one with the self-storage in the back. So it's just going to be a road back to area that's not going to be developed any further. So in this case, I would probably be okay with that waiver. But like Councilor Witham, I'd like to see what the other board members have to say.
Mr. Richardson and Mr. Rhodes and Mr. Gillette.
Yeah, personally, I'm good with the waivers. I appreciate the effort with the drainage and going through that. So from what you originally had proposed to now. I do have one question though, and on the Bollier report, and I'm not sure if I'm confused about what it's saying down here, but at the bottom it says a pickleball court has been removed. And I was kind of surprised with that because it's on all the plans and that was part of the big deal for coming in and everything else. So what does that mean?
So we had, yes, that was the other change. During this time between when we were here in July and addressing these AOT comments, between the architect and the client, they determined that it was a tight fit for the two pickleball courts. It was just a little too congested, so that's why they proposed to reduce just the one pickleball
Just for
court that
one-
we're
okay,
showing
it's
now.
just one then.
Just
All right.
one. Yeah, and then the landscape plan and, hardscape plan was revised to still utilize that space between that pickleball court and the building, but it wouldn't be a second pickleball court.
Very good, thanks, that clears that up.
Mr. Rhodes?
So echoing all of the same comments, I'm glad to see the retention swale going in there. Willen Pond is particularly sensitive in that it's a locked pond. There's no outlet for it. So anything you do to treat outflow to it is a good thing. And I have no concerns about the removal of some grass to put that in whatsoever. In terms of the landscaping on the side, I don't see it as potentially a problem, particularly if I'm remembering the Bucephalus project next door. They didn't intend to cut the trees along that line. So assuming that they stick to that plan, there would still be a screen between the two properties, just not on yours. I am a little surprised to see it because with the image that Pressed Cafe usually tends to present, they usually seem to want things a little more polished. So I'd be inclined to approve that waiver, but I suspect once you do talk to your client on this, they'll probably still go in. So no concerns with either. Thank you.
Mr. Gilmat? You want to put your mic down, please?
No concerns with the pond or anything like that. My concern originally was with the trees on the side between the Dollar General and stuff. They said there was not going to be any problem because they're going to be standing. So there's still going to be some towards the front half of the property. I have no problem with what your plans are to put any others up. So.
Thank you. Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion on regional impact. Mr. Witham?
I'd move that none of the waiver requests being sought by the applicant this evening have any potential for regional impact. Again, we are actually improving things from the first time around.
Motion made by Mr. Witham, seconded by Mr. Berry. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Next, need a motion on waiver request number 1. Mr. Richardson.
Sure. I move that the request for Press Cafe for the 8.5 of the site regulation, reduction of parking lot.
Your mic.
Sorry. I'll read it again. I move the request of Press Cafe for a waiver from section 4B85 of the site plan review regulations to allow a reduction parking lot perimeter trees to be approved.
Motion made by Mr. Richardson, seconded by Mr. Witham. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Waiver is granted. Entertain a motion for waiver number 2. Mr. Witham.
Yes, thank you. I move that the request of Press Cafe for a waiver from section 1312D9 of the site plan review regulations from the requirements to provide a Class B buffer yard be approved.
Motion made by Mr. Witham, seconded by Mr. Berry. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Waiver is granted. Waiver number 3. Entertain a motion. Mr. Witham.
Sure. I move that the request of Press Cafe for a waiver from section 1323A79 of the site plan review regulations to allow permanent drainage structures within the required setback be approved.
Motion made by Mr. Witham,
Seconded.
seconded by Mr. Richardson. Any discussion?
Aye.
Mr. Witham.
Yeah, I amend the motion, the condition that any third-party comments be addressed as part of the approval.
You okay with that, Mr. Richardson? Any further discussion?
It's the exact same item.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Waiver is granted. Next is site plan motion. Anybody have a motion? Mr. Witham.
Sure. After review of the plan dated 12/12/2025 and supporting application documents, I move that the request of Press Cafe for a site plan amendment as discussed here this evening for revisions to the site design shown on the plan dated be approved with the condition of the third-party review comments being addressed.
Seconded by Mr. Rhodes. Motion made by Mr. Witham, seconded by Rhodes. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Site plan is approved.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Just to clarify, that includes the staff recommendations, right? Correct? Outlined?
Yes.
Okay.
New business, item 4B. Peter Merrill is seeking a conditional use permit for a residential unit at street level on a property located at 84 High Street, Unit 101, in the Business with Historic Form-Based Codes Area 1 Overlay, BHFBC1 District, Assessors Map 11, Lot 217, CUP number 05-2025. Director Mears, anything to add?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. You should have received the conditional use permit application from the applicant, a history from the Site Review Technical Committee meeting, a write-up, a history of uses at the property, and the notices of violations at the property as submitted by code enforcement. The applicant is seeking to convert a unit located at street level High Street from a commercial unit to a residential unit. The city of Somersworth, through master plan and zoning requirements, have consistently strived to have a revitalized downtown and commercial at the street level with residential on the upper floors within this district. The downtown area along the main corridors of High Street and Market Street. The use of residential at street level on High Street is not consistent with allowing residential on the bottom floor, and it's contrary to the spirit of the zoning ordinance. Somersworth Master Plan goal is to make the vision a reality. The city will aggressively pursue the following goals: make the downtown a viable, walkable, vibrant focal point for the city and the region that is physically attractive, socially, culturally energized, and offers the opportunity for a diversity of business activity. And promote downtown vitality by encouraging and maintaining a vibrant mix of uses that ensure a balance of daytime and evening activity while preserving the quality of life for the downtown residents. As you know, in the form-based codes, residential is only allowed in the upper stories. That's why staff recommends that this application be denied for conditional use permit to allow for residential on the first floor. As our downtown gets redeveloped, commercial use is going to become more and more valuable. So with that.
Is the application ready for?
Yes, the application's ready for review.
Entertain a motion to accept the application.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made by Mr. Witham. Second by Mr. Rhodes. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Application is accepted. At this time, I'd like to invite Mr. Peter Merrill to make their presentation.
I'm not Peter Merrill, I am Ronald Pinn, and I represent Peter Merrill, Main Street Handyman of Fremont, New Hampshire. And what happened was the things that went on here, he had space that he was trying to generate money, okay? There is no window frontage in it at all, and it's been divided. And if I have the picture of it, and I have a layout of the apartment, so-called apartment, and we'd like to just go through this in order for him to be able to get these violations out, everything else. He needs to generate some money. He had issues with other stuff going on upstairs, downstairs, as the fire department knows. A lot of people, different people know, police know that, he's had some stuff go wrong in his place, and he spent a lot of money. So he's trying to generate new money or quick money into doing what he did over here. And we're trying to get this one. There is no store frontage windows there. There's no windows whatsoever only out back on the egresses and all that. And it's not even noticeable. You walk by it, it's a single bedroom. You walk by, you would never even know. Then there's, his storefront is to the left of it, which he is trying to rent, unable to rent right now. And then where the whatever, the massage parlor that was there, he hasn't even got that rented. He's trying to get some stuff rented, but, you know, yeah, you'd like to make it viable and everything else, and make it, you know, beautify everything, but sometimes you have to do things that you have to do to get by so you don't lose it, or it becomes an eyesore for you. A total, complete eyesore could be. And that's not a good thing. You know, we're trying to work with him, the owner of the building, and Peter and I have been doing this for a long time. I've been doing it since I was 9 years old. I'll be 67 on Monday. And I can understand this man's point. At that point when everything went down, I just kind of like, you don't do it that way. You just go before, not after. So I do have pictures that I can pass around and explain to you and show you, and we can go from there.
Mr. Chairman, I believe we have. We have this.
Good God.
Out of the way of the apartment. That's the commercial side.
Thank you.
Yes, understood. Thank you. Okay.
You all set with your presentation?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. This time I'd like to open public hearing. Anybody care to comment on this application? Mr. Brooks?
My name's Richard Brooks. I live at 18 Linden Street. I'm also the chair of the HDC and the vice chair of the ZBA, but I'm speaking only as a public citizen tonight, not in those capacities. So this is located in the form-based code, one of the form-based code districts, which we enacted several years ago. Form-based codes are all about height, width, setbacks, massing, and as 19.32.A.3 reads, all of the areas within the form-based code overlay district share a common goal of increased emphasis on the form and placement of structures and a decreased emphasis on the functions contained within them. As such, the section sets careful and clear controls on building form with broader parameters on building use so as to shape clear, attractive public spaces, good streets, neighborhoods, and parks with a healthy mix of uses. With proper urban form, a greater integration of building uses is natural and comfortable. This also goes on to include 3 pages of definitions related to exterior features of buildings in the design and appearance of them. These form-based codes really have no clear direction on what to do with that. It has all these definitions, but no real direction on what to do with them. It does speak to the dimensional numbers, talking about the front setback, averaging what's to the left and the right, 250 feet in each direction, and to average that. It also sets a side setback of 20 feet max and a rear of 20 feet minimum. This is not much different than what the HDC would consider and use in their considerations as well. So form-based codes in HDC are very much similar in this regard. except they preserve an older, irreplaceable character found downtown. This also sits in the business district, which has zero-dimensional regulations, but we still have the use-based, instead of doing away with those like form-based codes typically do. Form-based codes typically just look at the form and shape and size of the building, not the uses. But we didn't remove any of those uses when we created form-based codes. So where I'm going with this is it seems like we've just added layers and not really made this a simpler thing in the process. Sometimes they even contradict each other. They sometimes will use some very basic restrictions on uses and so on, but again, we didn't even limit it back to that. And then we have a second page that talks about architectural setbacks, streetscape setbacks, and others, architectural standards, streetscape standards, and other standards, which are nearly identical through all 5 sub-districts of our form-based codes, even though they're very different. When you look at the form-based code districts, they have very different features and buildings established within them. So I'm just bringing this up because I actually attended all of the meetings and workshops through the form-based codes because I felt that we didn't do enough with them. And I think this is just a perfect example where a real-world application is starting to show that. And on top of that, I understand he needs a conditional use permit for this, but I believe he'd also need a variance to the zoning board based on the business district also preventing residential on the ground floor. So just another thing to consider there. I'm not sure I'm opposed to this or for it, to be honest with you. But using this real-world situation to show the concerns, it might be a minimal situation in this case, but as we delve into various scenarios, I know we'll find many examples of inconsistencies and confusing regulations, maybe even contradictions, as we look at all 3 layers of this now. And then this is, again, like I said, relatively minor, but when you put this into a project such as 85 Elm, one of the few other form-based code projects we've had, it becomes a supersized situation and creates significant controversy, which unfortunately the HDC received much of the criticism in that situation. So that spurred the creation of the HDC Advisory Committee, which I wish would be more proactive and look at how all these play together as well. And I think there's a lot we can do for this. I'm in favor of form-based codes. I just think we dropped the ball and didn't do enough with them. So I just wanted, whereas this is a real-world situation application of it, I know it's a minor thing, but I just want to stay on top of that and bring that out and point it out. I know that if this project was to go before the HDC, I'm sure they'd care about the appearance of it, much like form-based codes should, but they only seem to look at the size of the buildings and nothing else as they've been written. So again, love to see all that get melded in and worked on and massaged over for a better end result and hopefully simplify stuff instead of adding that yet now a 3rd layer of regulation to this area. And I could talk longer on this, but I would urge anybody that would want to talk to me in a different capacity on this and how it's related, not as a private citizen. I'm more than willing to sit down and chat with someone. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else care to comment on this application? Mr. Mativia.
Tim Mativier, Ward 1, 14-2 Curran Way. As a citizen, I am adamantly opposed to this application for the main reason that the goal of our appearance for downtown and the development to revitalize and bring back the vigor of that community in downtown would be vastly hampered with now a residential use, and what then potentially could never become back to a business use, because why would someone give up the residential use, which is very consistent? So as long as this becomes a residence, then the business will never be there. And I think the potential for businesses to be in that space is still there. The fact that there are no windows facing there once were windows. You can clearly see in the photos of the infill of the brick that was once upon a time infilled. In the history of downtown, in my 65 years of living in this city, it's never been anything but businesses. And if you go back in the historic record, there's never been anything but businesses on that whole street. So it would probably also be contrary to the preservation of the historic nature of that area. On another note, that this board did review and approve the application as complete. However, the property owner failed to even sign the document. So I'm wondering how that would be approved as a complete application when the property owner potentially has no knowledge of this application. He didn't even sign the document. The document was signed by Peter Merrill both times, not the applicant, not the property owner as required. So it's not really a complete document, and I feel that this application should be at the least dismissed, but the best case scenario to be denied. Thank you.
Anybody else care to comment on the application? Is there any correspondence, Director Mears?
None this evening, Mr. Chairman.
Seeing none, close the public hearing, and I'll turn to the questions from the board. Mr. Witham.
I have no questions, but a couple of remarks. First of all, I agree that our master plan desires for this to be a vibrant business district. If you look at this section of High Street, that block of High Street, there have been, over the last year, a couple of, at least what appear to be out of the gate, fairly vibrant business opportunities, which I think could give life to additional vibrant business opportunities. With regard to the section of this building in question that the applicant desires to turn into an apartment, it does abut what is a business storefront immediately adjacent to it. I could see an opportunity to perhaps combine those two for a larger storefront activity, which is consistent with the master plan. It's consistent with current activity in the corridor. And as was mentioned by comment from the public this evening, in line with what has historically been there seemingly forever. Again, if you go to the Historical Museum down here on Main Street, I'm sure we could find some pictures of that block showing it as a once vibrant business opportunity. So for all those reasons, I don't support this application and would support denying this application this evening. The fact that the applicant has some struggles with code issues, is looking to turn a quick buck here, is really not a compelling story in my estimation. In fact, it's to the contrary. So I would just remark on that. Lastly, it is common for us to approve applications that have been signed by the applicant's representative. Sometimes it's an engineering firm, so I'm not terribly alarmed by approving the application as complete for review here this evening, but again, would support the denial. Thank you.
Question for Director Mears. Is it the storefront 82 that they would like to turn to an apartment?
84.
84, yes.
Just the brick part, not the glass?
No, we got an approval to put the door in to the Historical Society. Okay, and if you look at this picture, second door in, we were approved by the Historical Society to put this door in as long as everything else matched.
Now, do you also own
I
the,
personally put the door in.
do you also own the storefront? Okay, now what's the problem with the storefront?
Can't rent it out. He hasn't had anybody in 6 months, 8 months there now.
Well, there was somebody there before at Gathering Place, and they were more than happy being there, and they were told to get out, so I don't...
I don't know. All I know is...
Can you speak into the microphone, please?
All I know is when we went to the Historical Society, we were approved for this door. I
No,
wasn't there.
I'm asking about the storefront. You say you're having problems.
We haven't had
renting it
anybody
out.
go to that.
Well, there was somebody in there, so I guess my question is it really the
I
problem that
don't
you
know.
can't rent it
I
out?
don't
or-
know now it is smaller. It's been cut in half. Through this drawing right here that I gave you people, this drawing here cuts it down. I believe it's like 22 by 40, it's 800 feet, 860 feet, square feet cut out of the storefront area with the glass. There's 860 feet of, this area here is a proposed residential area. It has no windows. Where the infills are, the new infills on the building, that's where the proposed apartment would be.
Well, my question is, there was a business going on in there that was happy to be there, and they were told to get out. So I mean,
I don't know. I wasn't there.
When you say you're having problems
Having
renting
problems
it,
trying to get rentals for both of his commercial spots there.
okay,
I
guess
don't know.
probably if you get the right people, they could rent it out.
He's had a realtor doing it.
Any other questions on the board? Mr. Richardson?
I've got a couple on the violations, I guess. Is there anybody in the building at all now, or is it empty?
Is there anybody in what?
Is there
building?
anybody in the building, upstairs, downstairs?
Yes, oh yes. Yes, there's
So the
like 6 of them that are rented. Out of, I believe there's 8 or 10. I know there's 6 rented. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, there's 5 rented, 3 empty.
okay. Have we were handed out what the violations were. Have all of those been corrected?
Not as of yet.
Okay.
Most of them have, and that's what our plan was, to go forward with it. I have the picture of the back, and I was trying to meet with the Historical Society, but I missed the deadline for pushing in the proposed, fixing the brickwork, repointing all the brickwork and stuff, and that's my forte. I worked with my dad for my whole life, and we are the second largest masonry company in New England.
Okay. It looks to me like the violations go back to 2024. Is that correct?
I believe it was
October 4th, 2024?
October 4th, 2024, yes.
Okay.
And I have fixed some of it.
So it's been over a year, and they're not done.
Yep.
I'm not going to vote for this until those are done, so thank you.
Any other questions on the board? Mr. Rhodes?
Not to pile on here, but I do just want to point out that it has been rented out in the absence of a CO. There are indications of fire code violations in the violation items that are listed there. Even if this were brought up to par, if the violations were all addressed, I'd be disinclined to vote for this, given the concerns around the use of the property. But we're at 15 months since this first violation of this set was noted. I know that this particular property owner has a long and storied history of violations with the city, so I'm not surprised to see that kind of a time lag. There's no way this is approvable by me whatsoever.
Mr. Witham, sorry about that.
No, you're good. I'll try to remain professional here, but this has been a rather disjointed presentation. I'm hearing news that the existing storefront has been made smaller by some work, maybe in anticipation of us passing this, which is bothersome. We have code violations. The application, although perhaps complete, is, I'll just be frank, it's poorly done. It's not professional. There's nothing about this application or the presentation tonight that's professional. There's nothing about this that makes sense for us to approve. I'm ready just to move on the denial. Why belabor the point? So if anybody's waiting for a motion, I'm inclined to make one. I can find that piece of paper.
Comment, Mr. Barden?
I just want to provide some big picture context on this as well. it's bad enough, in my opinion, that the state government is forcing communities to accept high-density development, including and up to trailer parks in residential areas. And the housing market, and especially the rental market in New Hampshire, is already very tight. And in my opinion, that validates the concerns voiced already that this rental could persist in displacing potential businesses, contrary to the historic nature of the district, as well as the city's long-term plans to maintain the vitality of the business district as a business district. And that context by itself, for me, is prohibitive even before getting to the specific issues with the application and the code violations with the building.
Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Witham.
Thank you. I move that the request of Peter Merrill for a conditional use permit for a residential unit at street level on a property located at 84 High Street, Unit 101, be denied for the fact that it does not align with the city's master plan. It does not align with current economic activity in that block of the downtown. And the property in and of itself, the entire property, has numerous code violations which need to be addressed long before this application returns. Thank you.
Motion by Mr. Witham, seconded by Mr. Gilmet. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Sorry, the
Have a good night, guys.
application is denied. Thank you. New business, item 4C, 100 Tri-City LLC, Anthony DiLorenzo is seeking a site plan amendment to allow temporary storage of a salt bin on a property located at 100 Tri-City Road in the Business B District, Assessors Map 39, Lot 01, site number 19-2025. Director Mears, anything to add?
Yeah, so I do not see the applicant here tonight, but this site received site plan approval back in 2019 to convert the existing building to 20 commercial rental units. The applicant is coming just for a temporary storage of salt contained within the salt bin. That would remain on site until June 15, 2026. The salt bin is 24 by 30 by 8. Unfortunately, this did not come before us with the shipping containers, and they're in violation of the zoning ordinance.
Is the application ready?
I believe that the application is complete.
Entertain a motion for application acceptance. Mr. Witham.
I'll move that we consider the application as complete for review.
Motion made by Mr. Witham. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Berry. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Application is accepted. And at this time, you say there is no representative for 100 Tri-City LLC?
No, and they were notified to attend the meeting. We did put a couple of conditions, if you guys do decide to approve this plan, that are consistent with the updated site plan regulations. Or we can continue it till next month.
Comments or other wishes of the board? Care to continue it till next month, or would you like to continue?
I'd like to deal with it tonight, Mr. Chairman, if we open the public hearing here, if there's any public comment. I think there is one communication.
Open the public hearing. Anybody care to comment on this application? Any correspondence, Director Mears?
Yes, we received correspondence from Kevin Walker, who works for John Flatley Company. His main comments were there is no detail for the salt storage. The slope of the parking lot should be higher at the north end of the storage area and lower at the southerly end of the storage area, as well as ensuring that runoff can't run into the storage area from any direction in order to keep salt dry at all times. The storage areas shall be lined to ensure no salt entry into the ground or groundwater. The plan says the dimensions of the bin are 24 by 30 by 8, assuming 8 foot is in height. We would like to make sure that there's a maximum height of the salt, not just the bin, and that the salt mound is protected either by a roof or some other sort of covering to ensure no salt can be windblown off the site and out of the protected bin. If landscaping in the area is lacking, I request additional plantings at least at the height of the bin to be planted or screened from this, from the apartments.
Okay, thank you. Any other correspondence, or is that it?
None this evening, Mr. Chairman.
Seeing none, close public hearing. Comments from the board. Mr. Witham.
Yeah, a question for Director Mears. It appears, although this is for 100 Tri-City Road, the property owned by Anthony DiLorenzo, the tenant that actually has the salt bin appears to be Northeast Land Care. Is that correct?
That's correct, and they are moving to Willen Drive.
I was going to say, that was the project we approved on Willen Drive. And did we approve a salt storage with that?
Yes,
Got it.
with containers, and the construction of that site has taken longer than what was thought, so that's...
Fair enough. I'm trying to be business friendly here. I'm a bit perplexed that when we approved the containers and some of the other modifications, which include some additional plantings and stuff like that, that this wasn't flagged then. One board member's opinion, 100 Tri-City Road, although I think it's a good thing and ultimately can be fairly attractive for what it is, the property owner has been sort of disingenuous. He does things and then asks for permission after the fact. I did that as a kid. Maybe it works, but it isn't the best approach. I think because they are moving to another site, which we've approved, I might be inclined to allow this for the time being. This is a typical way that salt is stored, as I understand it, but not to June. I'm probably good through like the end of March. And then get it out. So, humble opinion.
Mr. Rhodes.
So a couple of notes on this. First off, there's a note in here that the bin should be lined. We can tell from the pictures here it pretty clearly isn't. There's a statement that's only been secured with construction adhesive, which I'm pretty sure is not waterproof. So that's problematic as well. It does appear to be covered, at least, although not terribly strongly. The plan does indicate that they intend to remove the salt by 15th of April, but this is clearly not in compliance with what it's supposed to be right now. My only thought on approval or denial on this is if we deny it, what are they going to do with it? They have a bin full of salt and nowhere to put it. My inclination would be, if we decide to approve it, to put conditions around the cleanup of the site afterwards. They've got a masonry structure secured with construction adhesive, which, while not waterproof, is pretty sturdy. It's going to have salt damage around it from this. So a heavily conditioned approval might be in order here.
Mr. Richardson and Mr. Berry.
Yeah, I've got just a comment to make. And on one of the photos there, we can see the orange barricades that are sitting next to it. And this kind of thing tends to create other storage that wasn't approved. And this is an example of it. You sort of put things around it and hope nobody notices it, doesn't notice it. And I'm not really happy with that. I'm not sure why they're there, what purpose they are. But this is certainly not an attractive way of storing salt. I think a more permanent building, if that were the case, would be more agreeable to me. Taking this up and putting it down and I'd rather almost have a permanent building that's a structure there that's going to last for a period of time and be taken care of than something like this that is frankly ugly. So that's my comment.
Thank you. Mr. Berry?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I mean, I'm frustrated. I mean, how many times in the past year have we had people come asking for forgiveness? We're becoming that board that just allows things to happen. I'm not happy about this. But to stay on point, it's clear in our regs, it needs to be waterproofed. Okay, so I'm in this case, I'd be okay with allowing the structure to stay. However, there has to be some form of waterproofing on the inside of that structure. So I want to see that plan, right? I don't know if anybody else agrees with me, but I'd like to see that plan. I want to see a lining. I want proof that it's waterproof, not just covered, concrete blocks. Water's going to escape. In addition to that, I also would like to see the recovery plan, as mentioned by Mr. Rhodes. I want that salt cleaned up. I do not want that in our water system around. So I want to see a plan.
Thank you. Mr. Gilmet?
If I'm reading this right, this was originally proposed 8/6 of 25. I plowed the Moeller parking lot, and I've seen that they moved all their equipment into the Rollinsford area right behind the Moellers. And I think the salt shed is there, actually. So I don't even know if they're actually using this salt shed, because NELC is now across the street in Rollinsford on Tri-City Road.
Any other comments, Mr. Witham?
I think there have been some code violations with this, contractor storage yard issues and such. I think the structure that we're looking at is at 100 Tri-City Road. It's to the back towards Tara Meadows. Again,
There's
NELC,
another company in there, though.
perhaps there's another one out there, but again, let's stay on point with this is NELC, which we have approved a brand-new building, which is under construction on Willand Drive within eyeshot of the warming shelter, which apparently we did approve salt storage there, which will hopefully meet requirements. I'm trustworthy that it will. This is a business, again, I want to be business-friendly here, but I also want to be environmentally friendly. As Mr. Rhodes said, if we tell them no tonight, and they have to take it out, easier said than done, right? So I'm willing to be at least mindful for a month or two, get us through the winter. We don't have to go into June or July like they're asking. I think we can shorten that up to, I think the end of March is generous, and with a condition that the site be restored afterwards to the satisfaction of the city, I think is probably the best that we can do it. If there's other language that board members have here, I'd be willing to entertain that. But those are my initial thoughts, because I think outright denial maybe gets appealed, and it is going to drag on for a while, and it may end up being there longer than the end of March if we approve it that way.
Mr. Berry?
Just a continuation. Thank you, Councilor Witham. I completely agree. I mean, at this point, it doesn't make sense to take the structure out, finish the winter, and then let's find the permanent solution. I mean, let's be frank. These are concrete blocks. Yes, they could be installed quickly, but to me, they're a permanent structure. I mean, they really are. It takes a significant amount of effort to remove all of those blocks. And personally, I will never be okay with somebody putting in a semi-permanent structure like this without our approval. So I want to make sure moving forward, if we need to talk about our regs and what we do when things like this happen, we need to talk about it. Because I'll tell you, as one board member, I do not want to be a rollover. I don't want to be a pushover. I don't want to be abused. So we may need to talk about this in a workshop.
Mr. Rhodes?
Two further points on this, and complete agreement with everything that's been said to this point. There is apparently storage of those crash sort of barriers around the outside of this. I'd like to see those removed, brought inside. And in terms of timing on this, I think end of March is generous. They shouldn't need this after that point. It should be the point where it could be moved and complete removal and restoration of what's essentially a bunker on the site should be done rapidly after that.
Further comments? Entertain a motion for regional impact. Mr. Richardson.
I move that there is no regional impact.
Motion made by Mr. Richardson. Seconded by Mr. Barden. Discussion. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Director Mears, would you care to summarize conditions of approval?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. There shall be no wetlands degradation during construction or while the salt bin storage is located on the site. The salt bin storage shall be removed from the property and site swept by, and this is amended March 31st, 2026. There shall be erosion controls installed to protect the wetlands from any potential runoff. These erosion controls shall be removed by the same date that the salt bin storage is removed from the site. These two conditions have been added: waterproof the inside of the salt storage area, and there shall be a recovery plan to clean up the area.
Any comments by board members? Mr. Berry?
All right, so just to clarify the language, so are we saying that it will be removed at the end of March? Or are we saying that it will be waterproofed and remain?
Gone, take it down.
Complete removal? Okay, thank you.
Any further comments? Mr. Witham?
Yeah, I appreciate the thought of waterproofing. I don't know how you do that when the thing is filled with salt. I think the fact that we're asking for erosion control is a reasonable step in the meantime. I think if we want to waterproof it, I would just support, take it down now, because we can't do that.
Mr. Rhodes?
Agreed with the notion of waterproofing being impractical at this point. It is full. That said, it is near wetland. It is a salt bin. It is not waterproof. It is leaking. Perhaps the erosion control could also be amended to include runoff barrier on the site and cleanup of any extraneous material around the site.
Those who made the motion, go with that amendment.
Yes, so instead of waterproofing, we're going with what was just articulated.
Runoff control.
Runoff control. And can you go over that very last added condition of approval?
In a couple of the pictures that we've got here, it appears that they've got what look to be crash barriers or something along those lines stashed around the site. Removal of those, cleanup of the site.
On condition number 2, where it talks about the site being swept, I might add there that the site be swept and restored to the satisfaction of the city, which I think is a whole lot more than sweeping.
Any other comments? Entertain the site plan motion. Mr. Witham?
Take a whack at it. Thank you. I move that the request of 100 Tri-City Road for a site plan amendment to allow temporary salt storage bins on a property located at 100 Tri-City Road be approved with the 5 conditions outlined this evening.
Motion made by Mr. Witham. Second by Mr. Rhodes. Discussion. Oh, and Mr. Witham.
Yeah, again, I'm doing this with a bit of reluctance. I'm trying to be friendly to a business that wants to keep its business here in town, is making a sizable investment in a new property, a new building. If not for that, this may have been a very different conversation here this evening. So if during our communication with the applicant that can be conveyed, that would be appreciated.
Any further discussion? Those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Motion passes. Any other new business to come before the board this evening, Director Mears?
None this evening, Mr. Chairman?
Next, we go on to item 5, workshop business. Item 5A, master plan, vision, and historic and cultural resources chapters, review of goals with Stratford Regional Planning Commission. Director Mears, take it away.
5-minute recess,
Sure.
Mr. Chairman.
5-minute recess.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Davey. I am a planner at the Stratford Regional Planning Commission. I'm joined tonight by my colleague, Carrie Deers. We've spent a lot of time in Somersworth and doing a lot of Somersworth work this year, and we love it. We are so thrilled to be back tonight. We are your Regional Planning Commission. For anyone who doesn't know, Regional Planning Commissions, there are 9 of them across the state of New Hampshire. Every municipality belongs to one. We do all kinds of planning assistance. We advocate for transportation projects and funding at the state level. We do technical assistance with things like master plans and zoning. And you are also part of our economic development district. So we advocate for a lot of economic development strategies like things tackling housing and childcare. So it's been a really busy year for us. This is the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th chapters we are helping you do with your master plan in recent years. We just finished helping you with your housing, land use, and natural resources chapters. We've also tackled the zoning audit as part of the Housing Opportunity Planning Grant, HOP grant program. And then we are also doing step 2 of that work, which is going to be implementing some of the changes we recommended during the audit in 2024. I see we have some Mayor's Housing Task Force members with us tonight, so it's really been a pleasure. For these 4 master plan chapters that we are working on right now, we have the vision, historic and cultural resources chapters, which is what we're here tonight to discuss, and we will also be rejoining you at your February workshop to discuss the transportation and economic development chapters. So we did one combined outreach effort, one really big push this past fall in 2025, along with the updated zoning work. We did a survey, we held a community forum in November, which I know some of you attended, and we've had really detailed conversations with the Housing Task Force and with city staff. So tonight we're bringing our first draft goals of the vision chapter and historic and cultural resources chapter. So we have a couple of activities planned out for this group. We are going to kick off with the draft goals, which are those little cutouts I just handed out. We have a feasibility impact matrix. Okay. So
Mr. Chairman and Mark,
Yeah.
just so for the record, we have some members from the historic district that would like to participate as well.
I handed out, I handed out to the, yeah. I think I got everybody. So why do a feasibility impact matrix? It's a way to think about the goals you set out for a community. Are they measurable? Are they realistic? Can they really be implemented, and how expedient is that? So we have high, medium, and low for both feasibility and impact. So I have draft goals across both chapters that I've handed out across the room. So we can go around the room and discuss each of them. They're also on the handout that was in the packet.
Should we go over just maybe a little bit about what we heard from each?
Yes,
Okay.
we should do that.
So just to set a little bit of the context, sorry. To set a little, is this on? Ah. Is it on now? Okay. Woo. I know. Mark's ready to just dive right into the exercises because those are the fun part. My name is Carrie Deers, as Mark mentioned, and I am responsible for working on the historic and cultural resources chapter. And so just to provide a little bit of context about where we're at. So as Mark mentioned, we did a lot of public engagement over the summer and fall, and we're bringing to you what we heard. So from the survey, so we did a general survey, and then we also did a specific survey for the historic district. So there was actually 2 surveys involved with the historic district. We had some general historic questions, just really asking about getting a pulse on how important are historic resources. And one of the questions on the general survey was, how important are the historic resources to Somersworth's identity? And that it ranked very, very high. Like people, and there was discussion about that tonight, that historic resources are really important. And so not only that, but also the cultural things, the festivals and things that brings people socially together are very important. And those ranked highly in the general survey and in the specific survey that we did. So what we've done tonight is bring results from the survey to you. So some of the bullet points that are on the one-pager, for example, for the Historic and Cultural Resources chapter, these are the things we found, that Somersworth's identity is rooted in its historic neighborhoods and landmarks, and residents' value for the character and cultural significance. People would like to see more events and activities. And then, so those were the general ones. And then when we got more specific about the historic district, it was actually kind of a mixed bag. Like there were good and bad. Like it was not overwhelmingly great or overwhelmingly bad. It was that we need to work on this. This is something that clearly people have had negative experiences as well as positive experiences with the district, the boundaries, regulations. There's a lot of different misperceptions, maybe different opinions, and different experiences. So that is basically where it comes down to, is that it just needs to be explored a little more, like to be straightened out, to really kind of understand where you're at in terms of preserving different areas of town and what that looks like. And people are really interested in education. They really want to understand how best to preserve different aspects of historic structures, but they also want to be economically feasible. So I think that there's a lot of discussion that needs to continue. So those are the goals that I developed based on what we heard. So you're all going to be discussing those tonight, and feel free to throw them out. Feel free to amend them, and add in ones that you feel are appropriate. And so we I don't know if you want to do a quick survey, just one of the vision, or
yes.
You can go forward.
Carrie,
Yes.
can we just step back?
Yes.
I think we had a really good response rate for the historic district survey. Can you just go over how many people? I think it was 66 within the district.
Yeah, so 67 responses.
So we have 306 properties in the district. So people were interested in this.
Right, right.
So I just want to touch upon that.
Yeah, no, it was a really good response rate, and I thought it was really interesting. Part of it was, I think
we sent out postcards to all the property owners.
Yeah,
Anna and Dana worked on that. So, and Carrie came up with the postcard. So we did get a lot of good feedback.
We did, yeah. And I would say what's really interesting is that 70% of the respondents had applications in front of the Historic District Commission. So I think, it's worthwhile to take a look at the results of that survey, I think.
And we'd be happy to share it with the Historic District Commission and the Planning Board.
Nope. Thank you.
Yeah. I can speak to why do a vision chapter and what that even means. Vision chapter is one of the 2 required chapters under state law, along with land use, which you just completed last year. It sort of sets the tone for the rest of the master plan, sort of pulling at these strings and these different, literally themes. I keep saying themes, but that's kind of what you're doing, and it sets the tone for the other chapters, and it, yeah. The big takeaway I got from the forum was the idea of the two Somersworths was what I kept hearing from the table that I was at. It was this idea of the Route 108 side of town and the downtown side of Somersworth. And that really stuck out to me. Another theme I heard, especially hearing from the high schoolers that came for their civics class assignment, was people want things to do. People want something that attracts them to Somersworth. So that's where a lot of those ideas come from within the vision handout. People also want to lean into recreation similarly. The mayor's task force, housing task force, had a great discussion when I attended at one of their meetings about the wetlands kind of forms a belt around your downtown. And they were saying, is there a way we could make a trail network out of this? And I know that that's something city staff has been exploring as well, how to expand trails. I had peeked at Berwick's master plan across the river, and water recreation is kind of one of their big priorities as well. So, and I don't remember if it was their master plan or something else, but pointed out what a great day trip loop their kayak launch out to the Mass Point Dam Park is. So lots of great ideas there. Lastly, Somersworth Place within the Seacoast. It's similar to this bedroom community idea and narrowing down what the identity is for Somersworth, but we see other communities kind of exploding in popularity, and it's like, how can Somersworth get in on that? So that's what we heard for the vision side of things. All right. Yes. So I can grab tape so either folks can come up and so the idea is I'll have each person read out one of the little cutouts I gave out, and then we can have a little discussion about it and decide where it goes on the feasibility impact matrix. How quickly can we get this done, and how forceful or impactful is it really going to be? So I have tape, so I can either take it from you and put it on the board myself, or people can come up. Any questions so far? All right. How about we start with Mr. Barden? The cutout. I handed out the little. Can you read it for us?
Vision 1B, define, enhance.
I'll put the mic on.
Vision 1B, define, enhance, and preserve Somersworth's neighborhoods and their character. Vision 2C, prepare and energize the community for a refreshed Riverwalk area.
So this neighborhoods conversation sort of came up with the mayor's housing task force. I think I have one of the maps right there. The housing task force named these neighborhoods and literally drew on a map when I came to visit in August or September. So that was a really lovely discussion. There was just so much energy in the room. We did have this at the forum. I don't remember hearing too much commentary on if these are Somersworth's marquee neighborhoods, but I guess we're trying to get a sense of how much appetite is there for leaning into these names, leaning into what makes each of them unique. We're trying to tackle a little bit of that with the zoning project. So, and this will tie into a lot of the work Carrie will be doing with the historic and cultural resources chapter and what the vision for the historic districts are. So we have our downtown Somersworth. We have the hill. I heard that over and over and over, was the hill and how important the hill is to Somersworth's, what makes Somersworth Somersworth. Smoky Hollow was a name I heard for this little triangle of these a lot denser, older homes. And then people were really energized about the Route 108 corridor and going into the Weeks Crossing area with Dover. So,
Grab one of the.
yes. So,
Can I make a comment
Please.
about these neighborhoods?
Please.
You know, as we talk about sort of historical and cultural resources, we think about that, I think, a lot of times as like physical things, like buildings and the stuff you can see. But the history of this community is defined by more than that, and it is defined by many of these neighborhoods and perhaps more that are a look back at creating the city's identity. Like there's a neighborhood we call the Brickyard. We hear the Hill, right? So the Hill, the first public high school in the state was up on the Hill, right? So it creates our identity from a historical perspective. So I think it belongs here. And I think this homage to these neighborhoods, both past and present, is an important part of our identity.
I was here for the discussion that started this. Mr. Goodwin actually brought it up, and it has a lot to do with zoning because we've got like 18 different districts for our zoning. And to identify neighborhoods to more focus zoning to reflect those neighborhoods and keep what's working and kind of cut down the number of zoning districts we have and focus them more on these established neighborhoods was kind of the idea behind this. And as I said, Mr. Goodwin was a lot of the ideas behind that. So I think it's a good way to identify these zones, and maybe as we alter zoning districts, look to these districts to preserve what's there and build off of that.
You bring up a good point. We also brought the future land use map that you all had approved as part of the land use chapter. And a lot of the neighborhoods are already circled there on the future land use map. So part of what we're going to be talking about tonight is what does that look like? What do these neighborhoods look like in the future built on the past? So, you know, what do you think fits well within those neighborhoods going forward? And, you know, it's a really interesting discussion about infill and what things look like. You talked about form-based code earlier this evening about, you know, what do things look like? Do we care about what the use is? You know, how does that all fit with us moving forward as a community? So we just brought that as a reference to conversations and things that you've already approved in the master plan.
and I think we heard great discussion on that, just on that application just before we stepped up to the plate on how do the form-based codes work and how do they interact with the business district underneath them.
Do you want to grab
Yes.
the goal, and then maybe we can just place it?
Which one do we want to start with? The defining neighborhoods, or what was the other one there?
The refreshed Riverwalk area.
Let's do neighborhoods first, since we were already talking about it. So for defining them and leaning into them as a task, is that realistic, and on what time frame does that happen?
I think it's very realistic because we have a great start. I think to the point that Mr. Brooks made, I think it can help to begin to sort of refine how many districts we have and make it a little more manageable and understandable. So from that perspective, I think it is realistic, and I think it could be done, should be done probably sooner rather than later.
Neighborhoods one.
So, feasibility, high impact.
Let me grab the tape.
I can stick them on if you want to.
Thank you.
MC.
Thank you. So we're hearing high.
Right? Like you want it to be in a higher priority.
Yes.
I'm not seeing any objection.
All right. We'll circle back to the Riverwalk goal. Mark, what do you have for us?
Okay, I've got two, so. Microphone. Yep, it's on. Yeah, Historic 1B, it says expand and modernize the Historical Museum. And Vision 1C, and it says craft engaging and compelling outreach that excites and informs all ages, abilities, and groups. And I have some ideas on that, but.
Let's hear them.
Well, Somersworth is having its 300th anniversary in 2029, and now is really the opportunity to start planning for that, to do lead-in events, and I've got a couple of thoughts that have been mulling around in my head on doing exactly that. One thing that I'll say a little bit about Dover's 400th, it irritated me that they did not include any of the original towns that were part of Dover in their 400th anniversary. It was just current, present-day Dover. For our 300th, Rollinsford should be included in that respect. And I think if we did some engaging historical projects leading into the 300th that includes both communities, I think that would be very interesting to hear, including the division, the issues that divided our communities, the whole thing that happened before 1849, not moving or moving the meeting house onto this side and not building the road to Rochester that the folks now living in Rollinsford wanted. Took 3 readings in the state legislature, and it wasn't passed until the end of December of 1849, almost the last day of the year that they were in session. And so there were a whole lot of interesting things that took place in that, which I think is history that people can know about.
That's cool. I just learned something. So I guess I think I placed that under the crafting and identity theme under the vision chapter. I guess along the lines of moving beyond a bedroom community, is there something like in the city's social media presence? Is there other adaptations to how we communicate these days that would work? But also, like, do you have a major milestone event coming up?
I'm an historian by education and by practice, and I'd like to see, to be honest with you, what I've been thinking about is a video competition. And could be open to all age groups, playing 5-minute videos, 10-minute videos that have something to do with the history of our community, and have a video festival at the end of, that kind of puts things into perspective. But it can be, everything from kids in the schools all the way, or kids individually, scout groups, whoever, and on up to adults that could put together 5, 10, maybe 15-minute videos about our history.
That's awesome. So communication it's a broad set of tasks that we'll be crafting as strategies within the vision chapter. But for tonight, how realistic and on what time frame? We've already have 2029 as a year for one of these potential strategies to address communication. How impactful do we think it'll be?
I think it has the potential of involving all age groups, and I think that's something that I would, because of that, I think that I myself would put that up pretty high.
Fantastic. So I would say so. No objections? All right. We can circle back to your second one. I think this row has 2, so we'll do one and then the other.
Okay.
Mr. Barry, what do you have for us?
Sure. Historic 2A, review and amend historic district boundaries and regulations. Hot topic.
It's funny that you got that, Jason.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to put fuel on that. I'm going to defer to people that know a thing or two about districts, so.
I'll comment.
I was gonna say something.
So this is something that we're actually looking at with other committees. We do want to have someone come in and review our boundaries from an outside perspective, but we need to have grants and other things to help us do this. I know it's something that is on the city staff's mind, and I don't want to put words in or timelines in around that, but it's something that it helps define whether or not what we have currently is what we think we have from an outside perspective, but it also helps define what is still in place that should be on our minds and why we should be protecting it. So that is something I don't know if Michelle wants to expand a little bit on, because I know we were looking to have an outside person come in and do a look at our district specifically and a survey around that.
Yeah, I think the last time it was looked at was, well, when it was created, I think it was 1986, right, Carrie? You looked at all the documents, or maybe 1992. So I think it's something that is on staff's mind to review, especially with the issues that we're having with the commercial industrial district and the Hilltop district, to look and see if it can be expanded upon, if sections of the mill yard could come into that district and the boundaries change a little bit in the commercial industrial district. I think what we saw from the survey is that there's consensus around making sure that the Hilltop district is kept intact. There was a lot of comments about alternative materials and making some regulation changes and flexibility in those regulations, and we have just applied for a certified local government grant to work on infill design guidelines for the commercial industrial district is phase 1, and then the Hilltop district will be phase 2. So I think if we apply for a grant, it's probably 3 years out.
So would that be like high impact, but maybe medium?
There was also some legislation before the city councilor, I don't remember the city councilor, that proposed it to shrink the size of the historic districts. Anybody remember who that was? And it crashed and burned on the runway. So there was at least a discussion around it, and I guess prevailing winds were to keep it as is. So I'm not so sure it's a high priority, because we sort of looked at it and said, let's leave it alone. I think.
Medium.
I'm just one guy speaking there.
I would say it's a medium because, again, I think that plays into informational education. Right. I would say medium. I'm a little maybe biased on that just because that goes to the education of our residents, of the people of the city, to understand how this came about, right? Like as they're looking at the district as a whole and whether or not we've been good stewards, to whether we expand it, if it needs to shrink. I think that would be, I wouldn't put it high, but I think it is informational that would be impactful.
No objection.
And just a quick update, we do have a subcommittee that is reviewing our guidelines in-house and considering changes based on recent experiences, trying to better adapt them to play better with others and work well, you know.
All right, who has the next one?
This is 3A, Vision 3A. Collaborate with neighboring communities to review progress on housing production. I'm not sure what's envisioned by collaboration. I think we have a very good idea of what's happening here in Somersworth. I don't think it would take a whole lot of work to find out what's going on in Dover. There's a fair amount there. There's a fair amount in Rochester. So I think housing production in the Tri-Cities, again, define housing production. There's a lot of rental units in production. There are some other forms of housing in production, but I think rental units are leading the charge right now. Our numbers here in Somersworth got to be up over 400, either approved or in motion. I know Dover has got us dwarfed by some, and I don't know about Rochester, but I guess what is the value in understanding what's going on in the other communities, or?
It came up, I think, in the survey and at the forum in relation to the bedroom community narrative and why, if building is happening in Somersworth, is it because people are very, very attracted to Somersworth, or because they think that any rentals that get built in Somersworth are automatically going to be more affordable than Dover? So I think that's sort of where that came from. For us as the Regional Planning Commission, we had completed the Regional Housing Needs Assessment in early 2023. So we like to think we have pretty good tabs on a lot of the housing activity in our region. We're supposed to be getting building permit data from each of the communities that influence the transportation model long term. So I think there's value in creating this symbiotic relationship between what we can provide. It sounds self-serving, but there's value. That's where it came from, was the bedroom community thing.
So I wonder, could it have something to do with making sure that the growth rate is similar amongst the local communities? Because for us, to Councilor Witham's point, I mean, we're already over, I say we're at 60% of our 2040 goal, right? I don't know if we're ahead of the curve compared to Dover and Rochester and Portsmouth and all the other towns around us, but I mean, we're going to spike that football. We're very happy with that, right? But could that have impact on, does that make Somersworth look better by comparison? Is that a pro? Is it a con? I don't know. But is there a rate that we should be trying and develop our city at to hit that goal of 2040?
And I think it's also coming from the fact that we're in a very housing forward pocket of the state, which is pretty rare. I had just spoken with Dover's planning board last week, and their planning board was saying, like, yeah, we are a housing friendly city. There was no doubt about it, in contrast to some of the other communities in our region who are a little bit more hesitant, a little bit more wary of the state legislation that was passed, as someone else mentioned this evening. So yeah, there's a lot of regional collaboration to be done.
So a couple of points on this one.
Please.
I think if you kind of look at the development that's going on here in Dover, in Rochester, and all the surrounding communities, this is one that's really, I think, being more driven by the market than anything else. And it's a case where if there's a plot of land that somebody can come in and put apartments on, they're doing it. This is happening here. It's happening in every neighboring community that we've got and around us. And I don't think it's something that we're really going to be able to influence terribly heavily because the market is pushing it so hard. The other thing that I'd mention here is that if there's notions that housing going into Somersworth or Rochester is going to be more affordable, the kind of rents that are being talked about for the developments that are going in, that's out the window. It's not happening. Any units that are coming in at very high price points. So I think this is a case where the notion of possibly doing something from a larger planning position, it's attractive, but I think we're so far behind what the market is driving here that our efforts would probably be better spent elsewhere. I don't think we can have impact on this. Horses out of the barn and in the next county.
All right. Oh, please.
Yeah, just one thing, and I've said this at the Planning Commission as well. We've got all these housing opportunities that are under construction or are in the pipeline for being under construction. One thing I see is studios, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom. And I'm guessing that maybe in some of those 2 bedrooms, there'll be some bunk beds. But we're not really seeing, they're all rentals, and we're not really seeing family housing. And that bothers me. That bothers me a lot. We're seeing more and more corporate buying up of single-family homes and then renting them out. And oftentimes renting them out to short-term residents. They're, and not to put down nursing profession, we need all the nurses we have, but they're medical people who are moving from one location to another. And that just doesn't say stability to me. Not having kids on your street, something's missing there. And I think we're missing opportunities by not having family housing, enough family housing that's affordable.
Like that's part of a larger societal trend too.
Yeah.
Birth rates are dropping precipitously. They're not likely to come back up anytime real soon, given the overall market and overall housing conditions, not just here, but in the country as a whole. The market's pushing towards these smaller units. And if we try to develop codes that militate towards larger housing units, it's going to create two situations. One is we're going to force production of things that aren't going to move. And second, we're going to force production of things that are too expensive for the vast majority of people to even contemplate buying. So it's, yes, there is something lost, but I don't think it's something that we're in a position to influence. The current's under us.
Yeah, I think I agree with you wholeheartedly, Jeremy. It's fascinating when you have conversations with people on the street about housing and the need for housing. They'll quickly point that Somersworth's population really hasn't changed in quite some time. That's true. But back when I went to high school, there were many families. It was my brother and I at 2 in the family, and we were the odd family because most families were 4 or 5. There were several that were 8. Now, if we were 2, we would still be the odd family. We would be the odd family because of having 2, not 1 or none, right? Our enrollment in our school system is probably the lowest it's ever been. Somersworth High School, when I graduated, my graduating class was 150, 175, and the graduating class this year, I don't know, will be somewhere around 75, right? So
it was 68.
68.
Yeah.
So, the family unit has changed, and I agree. I'd love to see more single-family homes with neighborhoods and kids playing in the street, but it's just not where we are demographically anymore. So I tend to agree with Jeremy that this issue is driven by market conditions, nothing more, nothing less. The horse has been out of the barn for some time. Keeping it low is where it belongs.
Mark, Liz had something.
Yeah, I would maybe suggest a slight revision to the statement. Like maybe we should be collaborating with neighboring communities to review progress on affordable housing production, because I don't see us having any incentives for developers to include affordable units, and we see that in neighboring communities.
It's a very good point.
Love it. Would that raise that up?
Yeah.
I took notes.
Would it? Okay.
And I think another thing worth mentioning is Somersworth's pretty densely developed. We are running out of vacant land to develop. So the only development we can really do is a more intense development, not so much the vacant land development that Dover and Rochester still has and able to develop.
And I think it was our, go ahead. You can go first.
We're talking about development, new apartments and stuff like that. Is there a way that we can help the people that have homes, rehabilitate them to make them look good instead of having them fall apart? And, is there a way to get this happening? I agree with, a lot of what's going on. But there's folks out there whose homes are falling apart in communities and developments and neighborhoods that I was brought in. I don't even like to go back and look at, because of the houses are dilapidating because of cost and, and everything else. And I think rehabbing a lot of some of these areas might be a way to change something that's going on in this community. I mean, there's a lot of nice neighborhoods that have fallen apart, and it'd be nice to see some of them come back as, I don't expect to see back as they were 40, 50 years ago, but We're having neighborhoods now with, it's just, you know, it's not even fun to drive through.
Let's put a pin in that because I imagine one of the historic goals that'll be coming up around the table will probably spur that conversation again. Mr. LaHoyer? Yes.
Okay. Vision 1A, define Somersworth's identity for 2030 and beyond. It might be a medium priority.
Huh?
I said, I'm just saying, to me, it would be probably a medium priority compared to the other stuff that we'd like to discuss.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess like I've been saying with the bedroom community, I was hearing a lot of, at the forum, I was hearing from newer residents, I was hearing a lot of, well, I moved here because it was affordable, but I don't know. And again, like like I said earlier, with the kids and the teens, like it feels like there's nothing to do. So it's what is going to draw people in. So I think it does build onto the conversation we just had.
It's always a curious conversation. I think there are a million things for kids to do, but I'm thinking about when I was a kid. So I think part of this challenge is finding out what they want to do, because if we don't know what they want to do, how can we possibly fulfill that? There are ample opportunities for sports and recreation and music and arts, and the list goes on and on. I think there's a lot of things to do, but I'm thinking of the things that I did or would want to do and did with my son. So what is it that we're not doing that we should be doing? And I don't have an answer to that question. I'm always perplexed by there's nothing for kids to do.
So what do kids want to do in contrast to what adults perceive there being things to do for kids? I think it might be a bit of a societal undercurrent, like we just discussed, because one comment I remember seeing in the survey results about Route 108 was, I wouldn't feel safe letting my kids leave the neighborhood because of how unsafe Route 108 is, but like I would like to live in a neighborhood where I can just let my kids go off and do their own thing for the afternoon and come back later. So I think it's an interesting bringing kids up again.
And just a comment, in the capital improvement plan, we are funding a recreation chapter, hopefully in 2026. So I think that's maybe might make it a higher feasibility.
I think it's interesting too, just, again, historical look back here, kind of walk down memory lane here tonight. I think about youth sports participation. It's generally speaking across the board at all-time low here in Somersworth. Now, there are fewer kids, right? So I'll use Little League Baseball. I'm just well familiar with that. There used to be 6 Little League Baseball teams here in the city. You had to try out, and it was hard to make them. There are now 3. We used to have a Babe Ruth program here in the city. We now have none. High school sports teams, there are many that can't happen because not enough kids want to play. So maybe the sports thing has moved on, I don't know, and it's been replaced by something else. But what that is, I don't know.
Yeah. It's funny because, it used to be exactly like that. Even when I was a kid, it was a different playing field, my pun, but you're right, because in those days you played baseball. It's what you did in the summertime, right? There were things to do. The Lions Club was open. There were tons of things to do in the winter. Kids are different today. There are different desires, different aspirations. We have screens, right? We didn't have screens growing up, right? The playing field has changed. So it comes down to what I hear. What you said was, what do I want to be when I grow up? That classic question. And, as a city, you're right. Your aspirations for kids are going to be different for your adults. But if you want to be, say you want to be a touristy town, fine. You put all your nuts into that basket, right? You want to be a dining town, right? You want to be, whatever you want to be. Pick a lane and be very good at it. And I'm not convinced what this town is, besides a road from Dover to Rochester, a road from Dover to Berwick. So we need identity, but we need to commit to that identity.
So it sounds like you feel like defining Somersworth identity is a high.
Number one. Number one. I mean, that's top right. Until you know what the hell you want to be, we're wasting our time.
The other thing is Vision 2B, identify businesses and amenities that pair well with recreation.
Make sure, we'll come back to that, because only this side got 2 items. Mr. Rhodes.
Yeah, so I've got Historic 2C, promote adaptive reuse of historic buildings, encourage adaptive reuse projects that maintain architectural integrity while supporting economic development. So I think a lot of the big ones of this have been hit. The Hilltop School's been converted. We've got the Bleachery project going up, 45 Ohms going up. I think it's Creamery one on Green is shifting over to residential. But what we have a lot of are small properties that could be reused in historic districts. Hopefully not for first floor apartments, but for other uses that could get them back into vibrant parts of the community. And we haven't addressed that. We have the overlay districts that are confusing, chaotic for developers to work with. And if you're putting in 400 apartment units, you can wend your way through that mess. If you're trying to do a small building that's a business and 6 apartments, a little trickier. So I think this is potentially high impact if we can address that, clean up those codes. In terms of feasibility, I don't know, but hopefully pretty quickly adapt.
What was the other work? Oh, what was the other work we heard is coming in the pipeline tonight? About, not the boundaries, but the...
Form-based codes, is that the piece you're talking about?
You said there was work about to be done.
The infill design guidelines?
Yes,
We're
that.
waiting to hear if we got the grant. Yeah, that's.
So you think, so high or high medium for the?
I think if we get the grant, it's high. If we don't, then falls backwards a bit. Yeah.
And also, we're working with regional planning, as you guys know, on the housing opportunities. Phase 3, which is going to rewrite some of the zoning to hopefully allow for more, extend the historic moderate density so that to allow for more units in the hill. So
I think you pretty much touched on a lot of what we have as an issue. Like the bigger buildings aren't as much of an issue. It's these smaller ones that are commercial. We heard one tonight, commercial on the first floor, residential above, which promotes walkability, people in the neighborhoods, but it also promotes other problems, right? Like parking, other things. So it's a lot of going to come down to how do we want to define these areas? And if we do want to encourage adaptive reuse, right, like we need to have a community that's supportive of it. Because I think we've all seen where we hear that people want this, but then all we hear is the negative when these projects come about. We don't get the full-on support because they usually stay home if they're in support. They're not out saying, this is a great idea. We always hear the negative. So I think that kind of goes hand in hand with that, with what we've seen a lot in the past, unfortunately. So I think I love hearing that people were for this, but I've heard some of our greater projects said, nope, we don't want change at all. I'd rather a parking lot. And it's one of the better adaptive reuse projects we've had in our community. So it's just one of those, I'd like it if people who support this actually came out and did support it for our community and not just let the negative always be out there.
And that's why we need to define the community identity. Right? So that people do feel engaged in the community, especially when we have all these new apartments coming on board. We want them engaged. Right?
And a lot of these smaller storefronts that we have, you know, small businesses is a struggle for any small business nowadays. Corporate has taken over almost every realm of business and making it tough for these small businesses to survive and exist. A home-based business has a better chance of it. You know, the ones down on Main Street, if you could live above and have a shop down below, it just seems like a perfect place for that. But obviously that landowner isn't using it for that sense. And on top of that, especially when you talk about Main Street, there's no traffic down there. So it makes it hard for a business to want to exist there. If we could change the traffic pattern, I think that would potentially change what happens down there as well. I've thought triangular rotary, much like Dover and Rochester has, to get traffic on Main Street would be a solution to that. but that's just my take on it.
Hi, I think defining our community is ranking way up there. It wasn't that long ago where we had a community block grant that provided wider sidewalks, street infrastructure, curb appeal, plantings. We did all that work on the lower end of High Street to Market Street, all for the purpose of having a walkable community. And without that definition of who we are and what we are, what else would then drive a business to be identified with that goal or that want? They would want to come here to be part of that identity. And until we have the identity, I mean, we've got a potential, someone wanting to put an apartment in a brand new widened sidewalk that we spent a lot of money on not too long ago. So we've got to keep that in focus.
Mark Richardson?
When we started, Mark, you used the term that Somersworth was looked at as a bedroom community. That's not a good thing in my mind. When you're a bedroom community, all you're talking about then is coming home from work, go to sleep, leave in the morning. Bedroom community to me does not say anything about community involvement. That's why identifying I want to live here for a reason. And walkability downtown, drawing business into downtown, that's critical. We build up Route 108, we build up High Street, that's all going out of town. To me, that's not necessarily a good thing either. We want people coming into town. It's the wrong way development when you look at it on that perspective of wanting people to stay here. Everybody gets in their car and drives towards the outside of town. We want them to drive into town or walk into town.
Mr. Brooks?
And, again, with trying to revitalize downtown, maybe with form-based codes, if we lean more into that, take away the uses, allow any business, whatever you want to do. If it's a business, bring it in here. It might also help as well, even with the new state idea of a social district. Maybe we need to have that downtown and help drive a nightlife. That would certainly help in that sense as well. And I think that would all fit right into a form-based code. Again, get rid of the uses, let almost anything goes kind of thing with businesses.
It feels like we're coalescing around a couple of themes here. And one is that, sorry, I'm back from it. Thank you. We're coalescing around a couple of themes here. One is that we're a city that's informed by the history of its past, the hill, the mill yards, the housing that has sprung up around it, and then the second districts that have come up around High Street and 108. But the other part that's kind of coming in here is, what do we want to be? Because for an awfully long time, Somersworth was where you went if you wanted something affordable on the seacoast. I'll freely admit, that's why I bought a home here. My wife and I wanted an old house that we could afford, hopefully in decent shape. And that's what we found in Somersworth. That can't be what we are anymore. This is not the community that you can get into for small dollars anymore. 18 years ago, it was. It's not in 2026. So we have to decide what we want to be as a city. It can't be cheap anymore. We're not there.
I've long said that, and again, humble opinion, I think Somersworth is right-sized. We are a city form of government, and we're big enough that we have a lot of those city amenities, full-time services, high school, trash gets picked up. I mean, all those sorts of things. But yet we're small enough where we still have that small town feel and small town identity. Portsmouth, Dover, Rochester dwarf us in terms of population. They are cities. We are a city with services similar to them, but we're a little over 12,000 people. So I think our size is something that we should and could leverage. In what way, I'm not sure, but I would just throw that out there.
I'd just like to comment, I'd like to see what will happen once the 22 Green Street project is finished. Because I think we saw, like, once the mills were completed over here, you saw more foot traffic, and now there's actually some restaurants starting to go down this Market Street, High Street corridor. So I'm wondering, once you get those apartments up to stuff where you, like you see down this area, people walking at night, and whether you'll see people walking in, then little businesses starting to open. Then on top of that, once the Great Falls apartments get built, but unfortunately we got to wait and see how that's going to transpire.
I can make a note of that because we operate our bicycle and pedestrian count program at the Regional Planning Commission. That's honestly one of my favorite parts of my job. So we come out to parks and our town centers all the time to do stuff like that. So I'm happy to establish a baseline.
Can I just make a comment? I think from a staff's perspective, I've worked in other communities. Somersworth is very forward-thinking compared to some other communities, and I don't think you guys give yourselves enough credit for that. You've taken on climate initiatives that other communities haven't taken on. You've been pretty forward-thinking with housing. So I think whatever for the vision, hopefully you guys will incorporate some of that into it, and Somersworth should be on the map for that.
Vision 3B, grow with Berwick rather than in response.
So I really did go back and forth on whether to call out a neighboring community specifically, but it did come up at the conversation I had at the forum, at the table that I hosted. People were really concerned about traffic, of course, but also like they're seeing this new development in their downtown and they're thinking like, how could Somersworth get in on that? Or how can we make sure we're not reacting to that and we're going at a pace that's appropriate for Somersworth, but that is uniquely Somersworth? I know it's devoid of actions, but
one place, I mean, downtown on Main Street, across from the old GE building, you know, that strip of buildings there, what a good place to focus on and start to make some changes and filling in those empty spaces that are down there. Pick a location, go for it, see who you can get into it, invest some money. Whether we give tax breaks for a few years for the development of those buildings down there, that's fine with me. Anything it takes to get that block of buildings back up and running.
To the question about Berwick, I think there's no question. I think we need to work with them, not against them. Traffic notwithstanding, that is an issue, and we're not going to solve it on our own. They're not going to solve it on their own. I think we do need to work together on that. Yes, there is development happening in downtown Berwick. There is development happening in downtown Somersworth. So I'm not sure one is void of the other. I think they're happening at the same time. Theirs is a bit more consolidated. It's all, you know, you walk over the bridge, you can see it all. Ours is a bit more spread out, but there is that development happening. It's interesting, you know, there was a proposal to put a Domino's Pizza downtown several years ago. There was a lot of public outcry not to do that, so it didn't happen. And there was public outcry from our friends in Berwick not to allow a chain in the downtown. It's now in their downtown that you can see from our downtown. So, you know, we're we need to be a bit more collaborative than we maybe have been.
Medium, high.
It's not low.
I think we actually do a very good job, in my opinion, from what I've seen, of communicating with Berwick and watching what's going on there. And I would say I don't think we're responsive to it necessarily. I think we're watchful, but I don't think, to a lot of points already made, that like we can't do what they did. They had a lot of open land that went up very fast. It's still being brought up, which I think it's kind of one of those wait and sees as well, going, what's going to happen with it? Like, is our apartment buildings going to be fueling more of that? Or is that going to be more fueling our downtown? So it's a lot of wait and see, but I think we're in good collaboration. So I think it's a medium, and I think it continues to be a medium, because that's not something we can do on our own or they can't do on their own. And I think we've had a good history of working with them. Yeah.
I mean, to speak on the collaboration, in my history here, when I was an employee in this community, I did meet with the Berwick officials to discuss the potential of a rotary they wanted to develop over the bridge and take some land to create that. Then it moved on to code enforcement issues, and I was helping coach that town manager a little bit on a couple of meetings. So there was that cross the river communication, and I would encourage to keep that continue. The whole Domino's Pizza thing, the big difference is they did move into an existing older building to create that restaurant, versus here they wanted to build a franchise model to meet their franchise specifics, which wouldn't have fit. And so it was a big difference, but yeah, thank you.
Oh boy.
How many do we have left?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Okay.
8. Yeah.
So can we get, so I don't want to, this has been awesome discussion, but I just wanted to keep in mind that it's like approaching 9. So
Yes.
if we can, oh, sorry.
It's hard on TV.
Sorry. Okay. I'll let Mark talk.
Yes.
So let's, so we've had some very good discussion, but just keeping an eye on the time. And we do have one little exercise that shouldn't take too long. It's just you guys voting with a sticky dot. So, but it'll require you to get up and put dots on a board. So let's get through the last 6, 8. Okay.
So just a quick question. Can we send out an email and let people vote on this, on the...
Oh, perfect. Oh, wait, on this?
On the rest of it?
Oh, sure.
On the,
yeah. We can do like a survey.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Yeah, okay. That's good.
So we'll cut here and go to the visual preference.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Very good. So we make sure we'll get your contact information. Oh, you do? Okay. So what we're going to ask you to do, and so we're going to set up 2 stations. They're exactly the same, so just pick one. And some of you did this exercise at the community forum in a couple different stations. I know the historic district did this at my station, but so we took the input that we got from the community forum and we're bringing it to you. So we're going to ask you to just kind of your first impression, what you so Mark is going to set out cards on that table and this table. They're exactly the same. And then you just have to put a sticky dot on what you think is appropriate in the Hill, the Plaza, the Mill Yard, and South Main. And Mark, do you want to describe those areas, or everybody knows what they are? Yeah, you do.
So that's what was brought to our attention just from discussion with city staff, discussion with the historic district folks, and just knowing that those are the areas that are almost all under the form-based code districts, and they're the areas that this group is interested in revitalizing, and we heard that several times through the applications you had just before we arrived tonight. So those are the 4 focus areas.
Okay. So while Mark is setting those up, I can describe a little bit what these are. So there's an apartment. So if you look at these cards, the front has a description of what it is. So fee simple townhouse. It's attached on both sides with a garage underneath. So there's little pictures. It's just an idea, not exactly what it's going to be, but just the description. So we have a variety of different housing as well as commercial variations, and so we'll pass out some sticky dots and you guys can just vote on.
So these cards align with what's down the left side.
Exactly, yeah.
And we would put the dot where we think they best fit.
Right. So for example, here's a pop-up event, a temporary shop. So, you know, if you think that, so pop-up event, if you think that would be in the Hill, the Plaza, Mill Yard, or South Main, or another place, or not in Somersworth. So those are the choices. And just, yeah, it's just a quick kind of, you know, your response to where you think different things should go. And
you're basically looking for upvotes on all of the neighborhoods that we think this type of development.
Yeah, and if you think it should be somewhere else, you can put it on a sticky.
Cool.
Awesome. Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Yeah. Let's go.
They're the same. Yeah, they're the same.
They are identical. The posters are identical.
Okay. So if you want to look at what these are.
You can vote as many times as you want. No, it does not.
Sorry.
Oh yeah. Take those. Give Carrie some of these.
Reach it. Look at the cards.
Share dots out on this page.
Over here. All of the names here are also here. Yeah, I got you.
Shop house right there.
And they are
Yes.
Right, but where? Really?
I didn't either. Great. Is like,
It's not in cursive on the other side.
It is, there's a card.
2 units and a suite.
I think we should go pre-1962.
Yeah, sure,
Before they
yeah.
brought urban renewal into town and left everything alone.
Right. Oh, we're gonna have. I need to have my
But not all of us
glasses
can
on.
say that because they haven't been here.
We all know what really started all these problems is really urban. Not that we can
Version,
do
add 2 or 3 units to a house.
We know what brought it on.
Main Street that way. We had a whole, we had a beautiful theater. We had huge. Probably should go.
I did see it.
And-
That's weird.
No, I'm talking about right here.
Back when, before they burned it down.
Yeah. Should be.
Yeah, that could have been remodeled.
Hole in alley right here.
I could walk down this.
That would be a fun way to educate have a pop-up event where you recreate activities in
I could
walk down memory lane.
Yeah, there's one out right
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
What does it look like? Did I not?
It's very similar to one of the. Yeah.
After that, after, where we
Oh, it's this one. That's what that 391.
Okay.
My glasses.
So changed.
See a thing.
So was.
I think if they would have rehabbed a lot of these places.
Yeah, I agree.
Bootleg sounds a lot.
Anyone has additional ideas?
No.
We don't even have a South Main Street. South end of Main Street, yeah.
They were very efficient over here. These guys are like, are we?
Ours looks more like a bird shot.
Think about it. If you put another place, did people write where?
I'd like to see the truck festival.
Well, when I was thinking of another place, I'm thinking outside of, any of those districts, like the 108 corridor, the High Street corridor. I mean, be creative, but.
Ours looks very different than theirs.
Yeah, I was saying ours looks like a bird shot, and theirs is like so. Yeah, oh, yeah, they're like launching the shuttle.
They were gonna get about 30,000 people living there, 100,000 children.
Might be.
Like the commercial and residential above.
HDC, conservation, everybody else.
Well, all these exercises have lowered my blood pressure.
There's something about dots.
Well, when you have to make a choice, that's.
Oh, like an L. Yeah.
We make any fun shapes?
Hmm?
Make like a big smiley face, I don't know.
Yeah, and you have to make a choice. That's not easy.
Good job, guys. Nap time.
Yeah, there's a snowstorm coming.
No, or you might have a shot at being out by the time it starts.
Like residential and one of a.
Oh, it has nothing to do with blue leg out here. No. There's a long story.
I imagine that's like a
Chimney was not asbestos.
not asbestos, really.
That's a major problem. It's,
Oh, yeah, from
yeah.
You guys are really all over.
This is like this is
Triple deck, yeah.
Tim, you're past your curfew.
Yeah, I am. It was self-imposed. I have work to do in the morning. I won't be longer than 9, I promise.
We're done.
I was a building inspector.
Well, I looked around and they're all sitting. I'm like, oh, we're slow.
Served on the historic district. Banner for. I'm a building inspector. No. I'll look forward to your emails, Michelle.
Good reading.
Bye all.
Thank you all for your time this evening.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I believe we'll see you in February for the transportation and economic development chapters.
I'll see you in March.
Yeah.
Can't wait. All right. Director Mayor, is there anything else you'd like to add concerning the workshop business?
Just thank you to Mark and Carrie for coming out, and all Stratford Regional Planning Commission's work that they've been doing on the master plan chapter and the grant.
Thank you. Item 6, communications and miscellaneous. Anybody? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Witham, seconded by Mr. Berry. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you very much.